it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we're going to zoom in and focus in today on a great viewer question. And that is, why does this individual still get my goat? Why do they still trigger me? How do I know when and how I can really move beyond this stage of the game, this stage of the recovery? And I'm going to give you some very important tidbits and pearls of wisdom so you can identify if indeed you have healed. And really then, if you have not, the changes, the advancements you need and can make in order to be completely healed for good moving forward. It's so crucial. It's so important. We are all about results here at the Peace and Harmony channel in terms of healing and moving through successfully emotionally abusive, emotionally manipulative relationships, such as those people encounter with narcissist, covert narcissist, overt narcissist, and the antisocial, psychopathic personality disorders, that whole spectrum that we see. But before we get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to those of you who have recently donated to the Peace and Harmony channel. Thank you so much for your donations. It really does help to keep the channel alive, to keep the content flowing, to keep the doors open, the lights on, the information available, so to speak. Thank you so much. This is a nonprofit, so we do really appreciate and rely on donations from viewers like you. So thank you so much for stepping up to the plate, putting some skin in the game. I think your healing takes on a whole new level when you begin to invest in services, books, workshops, taking the time to really invest in yourself in the healing. So I think it really does a world of good for you once you start making that move. So thank you so much for stepping up to the plate and making a difference for yourself and here for the channel. So we're zooming in and focusing in here today on a great viewer question you know, how do I move through this stage where I'm still kind of like, they still have my goat, they're still under my skin, I'm still affected. It's always lurking. It's always, you know, in the back of my mind. And when I'm with them or think about them, I get into kind of the sweats or a reactive state, and I don't enjoy this. In fact, this stage of the game can be actually very crippling because it's still in the back of your mind. It's still in the recesses of your memories. It still holds you back from pursuing other relationships, work opportunities, interests, because it's what we call unresolved issues, unresolved anger, unresolved resentment, unresolved wounds. You know, it's like the scar is in an active disease process within you. In other words, you are still symptomatic, and if you don't deal with it, if you don't treat it, you become, you know, highly symptomatic or have more emotional problems, more feelings of anxiety. Or really a good red flag or an indicator for you is when you are essentially highly reactive. And, you know, the narcissist as well as the psychopath are the premier button pushers of the personality types and of the personality disorders. So they are going to thrive and get a rise out of pushing your buttons. Right, left, and center. They are going to try to get your goat, get you reactive. You know, if you can flinch and squeal and squirm and get angry and jump out of your skin and yell and cause a scene, or, you know, even if they're not around, you're still kind of ruminating on the things that they've said, and you're like, that pisses me off, I'm so angry. Like, it's still inhabiting your mind. It's still taking rent. It's still taking, you know, space up in your mind, even when they're not around. And see, it is these very subtle energetic changes which are still on like a repetitive loop within you, which are an indicator that you have not worked through these issues yet. So for example, the button pushing, what are some examples? Calling you nicknames, not looking you in the eye, making quips and jabs at you, the jib jab, the the, sardonic, sarcastic jokes. You are such a, a little SLUT or whatever. You're a little B. You're a C. Whatever the, statement is. We are not getting vulgar here. You're just a little, you're just a dirty little drug pusher. Statements that are meant to like be kind of chiding, or, you're trying to give vitamins to somebody and they're calling you a drug pusher. Things like that. Like, in other words, you're like, this vitamin has worked well for me. Do you want to try it? And then they're calling you a little drug pusher. Vitamin C is not a drug. It is something to help boost your immunity when a lot of people have the flu. So you're actually looking out for somebody. So this is a good example that a client, individual had experience and related to me, and then that was their statement back. And so, for example, someone who would be highly reactive to that statement. In other words, they are still open. The wound is still there. The hurt, it is not healed over. The the issues have not been worked through. There is no scab. There is no healing. It still gets into the wound. It still bothers you. It still gets you to flinch and be highly reactive. So if you're highly reactive to that, I'm not a drug pusher. This isn't even a drug. If you start entering into the boxing ring, that's what I call it. If in that energetic space, if you walk into it and you take the challenge to fight and to waste your precious energy and time with this sort of really, idiotic, immature, childish, however you want to make it, these comments, which are, they're meant to be benign, but they're really at their core, they're testing you and your reaction. And this gets old very quickly. People essentially don't want to be around others who are constantly trying to push their buttons or be very testy like this. And so that's a good indicator that you need to do more work, meaning going down under, meaning saying, knowing in your heart of hearts that you're not guilty. You are not a drug pusher. This is not a drug. I'm not passing meth. I'm not passing heroin. I'm not doing this. So it's like an accusation, which is just meant to get my goat. It's meant to be a button pusher, but knowing that to be the case, so I've already worked through this internally. So when these sort of statements would come up, they would not get a reaction. So for people who have not worked through it or are guilty, would be highly reactive. How can how can you say that? You are ridiculous. And then, the emanating of hurt, it is again a reaction in those overreactions, which are not in, they're not in relation to the statement made. In other words, it's an overreaction compared to the situation. So when you get that hyper reactivity, or people who, you're making a statement like, look out, and they're like, well, what are you saying? I am working out. That is ridiculous for you to say, be careful. When people are hyper reactive, in other words, their reaction is not congruent to the statement at hand. There is a high indicator of anxiety, insecurity, and guilt. So the people who lash out, who jump at you, who flinch, who, pounce, those people who are highly reactive, they have not worked through these issues. They are, still either guilty, and you are, bringing it to the forefront. They are also perhaps trying to react to you and control you from bringing anything real up by being overreactive. So when the reaction is above and beyond, it doesn't merit that sort of reaction. If some of you can bring that kind of situation to mind, then that is an issue, that there is something psychologically out of order. In other words, they are they might have anger control problems, rage problems. They might inflict a lot of hurt through hostility, through anger. They are essentially have this component of their personality out of control. So when you're with them, this is a good indicator that they have issues that have not been worked through, and you are then in firing range. And it's not friendly fire. It's meant to challenge you, charge you, and, create a toxic environment. So you can see how on both sides of the fence, both sides of the coin, both parties involved, that there are button pushing, control tactics, manipulation tactics, emotionally manipulative tactics to one, on the side of someone who is narcissistic, psychopathic, who is trying to manipulate through overreaction. In other words, once again, I'm going to repeat it again because it'll become very clear to you. The reaction is not in proper measure to the situation at hand. It is, you could discuss something and, okay, I will be careful, you are right. Or, what do you mean? I wasn't endangering anybody. We're okay. So someone who is secure and who is safe and in control, they would have that smooth tone. They'd have that smooth direction. Someone who has like an anxiety disorder, anger disorder, unresolved issues, controlling others through their overreacting. I mean, this can be while you're driving, while you're at meals, while you're watching a film. They control others through the reaction. In other words, it's an over-exaggeration. And these will be the people who oftentimes, push their weight around. They can be physically large. So you don't stand a chance energetically because just by virtue of their sheer volume, they're, either the size of their body, the bulk of their body, or the height of their body, they push themselves around. And if they're, extremely overweight, they might have core issues of low self-esteem. And so this outer, puffiness is like designed to protect them and allows them to feel larger and less able to be pushed around because they would rather do the pushing. They would rather do the controlling. It gives them a sense of power or being the boss cow. I love that term. The boss cow by, pushing their weight around, pushing their voice around, being energetically explosive. And you will see that psychologists, this is, what presents in their chair are people who have these emotional, explosive disorders. But especially when you are in firing range, when you are around these people, they will oftentimes control through their voice, their shouting, their glares, their looks. This is not friendly fire. This is not acceptable. This is emotional manipulation. This is emotional abuse. Call it what it is. Know it what it is. You do not need to tolerate it. That is not okay. You're not being oversensitive. You're not making a big deal out of anything. But the main thing you have to know is that it's time for you to exit stage left. Elvis is being called out. It's time to say, I need some time for me. Let me get back to you. And then boom, boom, boom. Let's take them out of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. You don't need to be around that toxic energy. Toxic meaning poisonous, noxious, harsh, uncomfortable, creating tension, creating stress. That is, you only have so much of a reserve to be able to put up with that. And if you've been around this on a chronic basis, it's stating that this person is trying to manipulate and control you. So separate your energies. Begin to look at yourself, and then those little quips, the things that they say, the sardonic or sarcastic statements that make you feel highly reactive, try to push your buttons, do the work within. And in the privacy of this video, right now, think of the statements that they might have said, the foundations of argument with which they try to get you to enter into. I think of it as entering in the boxing ring. You literally have a square or a circle where once you step in, you're in fight mode. And after a while, you will say, you know what? Life is not about the fight. It's not about fighting with other people. That is childish, immature, a waste of time. It's an invaluable emotion. I had a good friend who once stated, worrying is one of the most ineffective or invaluable states to enter into. So when you really look at that statement, it's like taking worry out of your emotional vocabulary. Don't enter into worry. It's one of the most invaluable, least effective emotional states. It robs you like a thief, like a bandit in the night. It robs you of your joy. It robs you of your energy. It robs you of your happiness. It robs you of your ability to problem solve, think straight. And so this is a very profound statement. Sometimes the most simple statements are the most valuable. And so when you really consider that right now, I can feel the energetic change when I say that. In other words, when I say worry is one of the most unproductive emotional states that you can enter into, i.e. you're going into worry. Think of it like a place. When you make that statement, do you feel a relaxation coming into your body? Do you see how once you remove the worry, that concern, I'm not good enough, my fears, all my fears, you have to wash them all out. In other words, dissolve them all. Get them out of your energetic space, out of your body, out of your etheric field, so that you don't have this stuff, these unimportant, unproductive, ineffective, self-limiting beliefs and emotions and energies going on with you when you enter into either the proximity, the boxing ring with these people, so that you are not reactive. And you can then think of, if it's causing you reactive states during the day, you need to say, wow, you need to take stock, you need to take assessment. I am entering into a lot of this ineffective, unproductive fear state during my day. Is that really true? Challenge yourself. And also, it is very important to speak your fears, to know your fears and to speak your fears. So in other words, like the great trainer David Sandler, and he talks about having conversations with people to get it all out on the table. You need to, and this is probably not appropriate for family settings, but more so in work settings. So in applied work settings, you need to speak your fear. In other words, I'm worried that because of the noise, I am not going to be able to focus. I am worried because of this bantering and competition, I can't focus on the task at hand. I am concerned that this favoritism is causing a divisiveness within the organization. I am concerned that where I'm sitting, I am not getting the attention and guidance that I need. So it's speaking your fears. It's learning that you need to have the vocabulary and speak this out, like get it out. That's why, there's a lot of psychologists who believe in talk therapy, getting it out. In other words, discuss it, work it out, hash it out, really waffle it out and get rid of it, float it downstream. Adios, baby, bye-bye. There goes, my anxiety, guilt, and the button pushing. My buttons are gone. So when you work through this and you really look at it with a perspective of well, that's, the statements and accusations and lambasting, meaning to kind of beat you with sarcastic and, really just sort of lambast you, lash out, just make sort of things to try to get you reactive. Just realize that it's coming from an insecure state. Why would you want to enter into their insecurity? Why would you want to enter into the insecurity of another? And this is deep stuff. And we're really hashing it out here for those of you who've been following me, so you can really, really heal at the core gut level for good. We are all about the results. So that's why we're getting deep. So anyway, and as we're saying that this is another's insecurity. So for them to have these insecurities is not a reflection of you. It's not a worry that you're not good enough, smart enough, funny enough. These sort of things, eliminate those fears from your existence. Just get rid of them. Worry is one of the most unproductive, ineffective emotional states. It's not worth your time. Focused attention is good, but worry will lead to stress, anxiety, and feeling the blues, for good. So anyway, why would you want to enter into the insecurity of another? Earlier in a lot of people's lives, when they are green, immature, just learning, maybe they think, well, wow, wouldn't it be good for me to be able to take care of others and make others happy? If they're happy, a happy wife is a happy life, is the statement. So in other words, maybe I should just go and try to make others happy. Maybe I should take care of others' needs. Maybe I should just negate myself, neglect myself, be a martyr, be a codependent, Dr. Craig Malkin, be an egoist, and just take care of the needs of others. You will burn out. You will become very unhappy and unfulfilled on that road. You can take that journey for 1 mile, 2 miles, 1,000 miles. Eventually, you're going to come to a dead end. It is a fallacy of thinking. It is flawed thinking to think that if you just take care of the needs of others, a happy life you will be, or a good person you will be. That is what we call flawed thinking. And it is oftentimes, in the germination, it is what a lot of people feel or think earlier in their life, that this is the way to be. So in the name of love, it is stepped into that identity state because they feel that, isn't it worth it to work for a higher cause, i.e. this other person, i.e., take care of my wounded parents. We do have a lot of people on this channel who were raised in very toxic, controlling, abusive, emotionally manipulative homes with narcissistic parenting, psychopathic parenting. And so they have had to become a parent before their time. They've not had a chance to really live a childhood. They have not had the opportunity to, feel loved, nurtured, taken care of. They have felt that they are the cause of others' unhappiness because they see the yelling, they see the slamming of doors, they hear the negative statements, they see the people fighting. They've received blows and hits upside the face, upside the backside, upside the back, upside the shoulder, upside the stomach. They have been physically hit. And this is not in the name of discipline. This is in the name of abuse. When a parent backsides a child, that is not discipline. That is abuse. And, they have never felt like truly cared for. So it's uncomfortable. They have never felt loved. So they feel unlovable. They have not felt nurtured, so they feel a sense of anxiety and coldness socially. And so, when it comes to really understanding that your identity took that path, it's very normal and natural, and it makes sense that you had to enter into that path or that feeling that, as a children, they're sponge. They absorb all this negativity, and then they feel it's their fault. And they feel not only that it's their fault, that they're in the middle of it, that they're not behaving properly, or they're at their core flawed, but they also have a tendency to want to then take care of their parents. They want to mimic their parents. They want to bond with their parents. They want to be like their parents. They want to then do everything and anything to help them be happy, to help them stop drinking, to help them feel less needy. They become egoists of their needs. So then they enter into life through their grade school, junior high, high school, college, their profession, wherever they are, then surrounding themselves with people who they have to take care of, who are, addicted or abusive or, in the same, psychopathic, narcissistic individuals that are like that whole cloth of type, personality disorder in a whole nother shape, but it's the same type. So they enter into relationships in their future where they're then constantly wanting to take care of others or have a high tolerance for pain, where, the pain feels real. It is their truth. Within the first 5 years of your life, what you had encountered is your truth. So if you were around a lot of, abusive parents or narcissistic parents, psychopathic parents, that becomes your truth. So anything that is different from that feels uncomfortable, false, because it contradicts your truth. So getting into and getting back to our conversation and then talking about how you then became like this, it becomes only self-explanatory when you really look at it. So you can see how you became as an egoist or open or hollowed out by fulfilling these toxic people's needs. It's an abyss. I mean, you will end up at a dead end. You will need to say, I need to enter into a new path. Like that journey, however long it took me, I was on that path for 10 years until I was 12 or 30, I was on the path for until I was 12. I was on that path until I was 20. I'm on that path, and now that I am 58. I mean, you can be on that journey for a long period of time, and it can get very craggy, rugged, feeling like you don't have a foothold. Eventually you hit a dead end, i.e. rock bottom. This ain't looking so pretty. This is not my spot. So then it's so important for you to engage in that awareness, positive, orderly direction thinking, meaning now I'm getting out of that whole track. Like I'm exiting the track. I'm exiting that mountain. I'm exiting that valley. I am exiting that desert. I am not there. Like adios, bye-bye, baby, bye. It is, I don't care if their hair is perfect over there. I don't care if their house is perfect. Not my path. They're leading me almost like the Cinderella story where they're living upstairs and I'm living in the ashes of the basement. They're going to make the ashes of your soul to basically land in, you're going to have that pile of rubble, that pile of ashes, and it's going to burn you out. You're going to feel like, what do I make of this? I can't make a life out of this. So that is completely normal. It's completely natural. You are not crazy. It's a natural human development because you tried to make a bond, a connection with these people who are button pushers. So of course it's going to become more severe with time, and you're going to have that like gapingness, gaping out. So number one is to realize that is how they operate, and that the narcissist and psychopath will get a feeling of joy, control, and power over others when they push buttons, when they use statements to make you flinch, flail, be reactive. That is their ploy. That's their tactic. That's their 5-cent trick. Realize and work through it yourself and own your clarity, own your independence, own your freedom, own your joy and bliss completely separate from that experience. Even if there's been positivity, I want you to look really purely and concretely and with whole confidence at your energy to not be reactive to that, and that means not only when you're with them, but when you think about them, you don't feel reactive. It does take time, but that's a good litmus test, a good indicator how and where you need to do your work. So if you were to look ahead, and as I say with a number of clients, if you were to forecast, almost like a weather forecast, if you were to look ahead and to see them in the area, i.e. if you were to go back to Narcville, if you were to go back to Psychopathville, God, no way. I am never going back there. The planes don't run there anymore. The trains don't go, the buses don't go. There ain't no going there. So in other words, but if you were to see it from, 10 miles, 100 miles, 1,000 miles, 3,000 miles above, and if you were to look down, if you were to safe distance, completely protected, immune, and resilient to anything of their energy, if you were to look at a forecast, and if you were to see how you would gauge the happiness upon even gazing upon them, your internal emotional state. You can be sad for them, you can be sorry for them, you can forgive them and let them go, but think about how your light is going to shine even around them. What is your forecast? Can your temperature be comfortable? You know, do you like 82 degrees, a slight breeze and sunshine with wind blowing in the trees? Is that your ideal feel state? Can you forecast that feeling in working through the issues and knowing that you don't own all the projections that they try to, and the sundry statements that they're trying to make, that it's not in your space. You don't own that negativity. It is cast back onto them and the Christ within and the Christ within them. So in other words, or whatever, you know, you're going to call the Holy Spirit, the divine intelligence, that you're pure and clean of that. And so that you don't, even in a forecast, you're still forecasting sunny skies. You're still forecasting 82 degrees, 72 degrees. You know, it's clear, breezy. You can smell the flowers in the air. Can you look ahead and forecast that and really see that for yourself? I hope you listened to this video several times, and I hope you're able to understand the internal processing work that you need to do is completely separate and distinct from those button pushings, and put the buttons onto the stream, let it go, adios, bye-bye, they're gone. I don't know where they're off into the sea, they're recycled. Mother Earth has recycled that negativity, and that button that was pushed, it's no longer able to be retrieved. It's healed, it's fresh, it's fertile. New positive seeds can be planted that can blossom on their own, but the toxics have no space and no life here. Remember, worry and fear, especially worry, is one of the most ineffective emotional states for you to enter into. Don't let that occur to you. Don't let that dissolve or destroy your life experience, your happiness, your joy, and what you deserve to receive and experience in your life forever now, moving forward. This is your buddy. Peace and harmony with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.